Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is the Golf Lovers United podcast, and I am Golf Lover UK, joined as always by my partner in crime, Pro Golf Critic. How are you, mate?
Doing well. It's been a really fun last few weeks. I mean, it seems like we've crammed in so much golf into like a 3-week window. Like, I'm really glad next year they're going to spread this out a little bit more because it's been pretty intense lead through the team championship. So, yeah, we have a lot to talk about for sure.
And I feel like I've just been dumped by a girlfriend or something because it's over now. That's it.
I know. We got a lot of great stuff coming in the fall, though. So.
Yeah. European Tour, got some amazing events in the European Tour, some of my favorites. And we've got an amazing Ryder Cup coming up, which would be great. So we're going to talk, obviously, about LIV. We're going to talk about a team's event today. And then we're going to do another podcast for you guys, which will come out real soon as well, which is going to be a review of the actual overall singles championship and a review of who got relegated, look deep dive into some of the stats around putting and driving or what cost people this and that. And I want to talk about LIV, but I do just want to say very quick before we dive into LIV, because we are going to be LIV heavy today, no doubt. Nice to see Tommy Fleetwood get that first win. Won the PGA Tour Championship. Look, lovely guy. I don't think there's anyone out there that doesn't like Tommy Fleetwood. And nice to see him, Jay. Look, he's knocked on the door a lot, hasn't he? But to finally get that win, big win for him.
For sure. I got to give him credit, give credit where credit is due. He was knocking on the door for a long time, a lot of times. I mean, he's got a lot of top 3 finishes. I mean, I think he had like 12 top finishes before he got across the line. So really happy that he got it done. I mean, it did take him doing it in a very, very limited field event with about half as many players that play in LIV events. But a win is a win. They were playing for $10 million, which is nothing to shake a stick at. That's like one of the biggest purses in golf, obviously. So,
and he gets a lot of exemption. So he gets major exemption now for 3 years. PGA Tour card locked up for 5. Not that I think Tommy's form's going to drop off, but if you've got a 5-year exemption and you're having a couple of bad months or you get an injury, all the stress and the mental anguish goes away. So like it's a real great win for Tommy, and one of the nice guys on the tour. Literally, my phone just buzzed. James Corrigan has just reported that Keegan Bradley will be picking himself.
I know. I've heard that too. I've heard that for a little bit. I'm pretty sure it sounds like.
What do you think of that? Because I'm on the fence. I'm on the fence. Part of me says it's the President's Cup. It's the Ryder Cup. It's being the captain is a massive honor. Go be the captain. So
Exactly.
part of me says that, but the other
100%.
part of me says, have a word with the American Ryder Cup team. Say to them, look, can I go and do it in 2 years' time? Because there is no doubt at all in the minute that Keegan Bradley is in the top 12 American golfers. So he should, if he wasn't captain, well, he is. Look at his performance this year. If he is, he would have been picked any other year. So I don't know.
Because he was a similar spot in the standings last Ryder Cup and he was not picked. So we got
very true.
We got to put that out there. I think this is a horrible decision. I'm not going to lie. Like when he got picked to be the captain, it's basically like he's gone back on his word. He was like, the only way I'm going to play is if, I qualify on points. He was, I think, 10th or 11th in the points. So he's not exactly high up. So yeah, all this is going to be announced pretty soon. But yeah, I mean, it's like if the American team loses, and this is where I think it's obviously a huge advantage having it at home. And I've talked about this before, and we'll talk about it again, how you're basically going in as a home team. You're already up 4 or 5 points. I think this is just a huge miss. I just think it's a really, really bad idea, particularly with there's a lot of other qualified people that you could have picked instead of yourself, because you're basically picking like half of a player because he's not going to play that many sessions anyway.
Yeah. So, well, if he is going to play a lot of the sessions and someone else is going to pick up the heavy work. I was also talking to Ryan. This is the last bit. I was doing Ryan Ballingy from Golf News Net today. I don't know if you know. Do you follow Ryan? Nice guy. Seems like a really good bloke. And I was saying, I don't know why there are so many people like they're talking about Griffin this and lots of people. I know Morikawa's had a tumultuous season caddy wise, but he hasn't had that bad a season playing wise. And it feels to me like people have just overlooked Morikawa, who's got Ryder Cup experience, 2-time major winner, had a pretty good season in many ways with his golf game. He's had a few. It's either been played well or played poorly, but he's had. And it seems like the whole of the American psyche has just overlooked Colin. Like, am I wrong on that? Like, I'm not saying he's nailed on pick, but when you look at some of the other names, to me, I would rather take Colin over Sam Burns and over Griffin.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, this is, look, the whole Colin Morikawa situation. We've already talked about that. He's had this sort of tete-a-tete with the media now for like 6 months. I think it's all intertwined. I think that me personally, I want Colin Morikawa on my team for sure. People are pretending like he didn't have a reasonable year, and it's like, yeah, he didn't play that great in the majors, but like he has a great record in the Ryder Cup. Last I checked, I think when he got paired with, I think it was 2021, he got paired with DJ. They didn't lose a single session. So, and I think he wasn't quite as good in Rome, but it's like, you're not going to be as good on the road. So, I don't want to spend too much time talk about the Ryder Cup though, because we will save that for another time.
I know we will.
Yeah.
It's just as obviously just with that news, it's just broken. So Morikawa's Ryder Cup record, he's 4-3-1. Like, that's a great record. 4-3-1, having one of those being an away leg. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think you have to evaluate some of these guys completely differently at home than you do on the road too.
Especially in an away drubbing, when you got drummed away from home, to still pick up a few points is great.
Yeah. So yeah, I think he won 3. Yeah, I think he won 3 points and maybe 3.
We've done breaking news. Christ, we done a bit of PGA Tour.
We didn't even get to the breaking news of the day too. That's part of the reason I'm wearing this hat.
I know. We will do that. The last thing I want to say on the PGA Tour, I'm still. It's very difficult. We'll talk about it in our next show about the LIV format and about it's for like Rahm and Neiman is 5 wins and a lot of 23 to 33rd finishes. More impressive season than finishing 2nd to 9th in every event. And the same. So that's something we'll discuss. But for the there is no one in the world that thinks that Tommy's had a better season than Scotty. Yes, Tommy won that event, but what could be done? We'll address LIV later, but what could be done on the PGA Tour, do you think, to crack? And maybe here's something: do we need season-long winners? Are we these playoff things? Yes. These playoff.
We don't need playoffs. We don't need this. That's where I've been going for a while. The PGA Tour, they're trying to draft off of other American sports with like having playoffs and such. It does not work for if you don't have teams. Like, it doesn't work. Yes, you can maybe try
straight money list. What's wrong with a straight money list? And if you want to make the last couple of events be a bit more spicy, just have the last 2 events be worth a bit more money. So if you do get hot towards the end of the season, you're gonna. I just wonder if a straight money list is the right way to go for the PGA Tour.
It's what the Asian Tour does. It's what the European Tour has, kind of a different system.
Well, they didn't know the DP World Tour always did the money list for years. They did that. I'm just wondering because. Unless
PGA Tour's influence,
and unless you're going to have match play. Okay, yes. Look, I'm really glad they got rid of the. I'm really glad they got rid of that. What's the word? That weird graduated point system. I'm glad they got rid of that. It kind of made no sense.
Oh, the handicap system.
Yeah, and then one year you had like a winner of that event and a winner of the overall. That became in itself confusing.
That was okay. That I was fine with, because then you have a season-long points and you have a winner of the tournament. Like when Tiger won in 2018, like I was totally fine with having this season-long points thing and then having a winner of that tournament. Like, because if it wasn't for that, like, and they had done the strokes thing, Tiger wouldn't have won. So
yeah, so I just think for me, just a straight money list. And if you want the last couple of events to be the FedEx events, whether they continue to sponsor or not, is going to be left to be seen. I know we have views on that, but whether the points list works or not, I don't think it does. But if you want your last 3 events, like the St. Jude, the Wyndham, the BMW, whatever, and the final event, whatever you want them to be, if you want those to be worth more, then you just make the purses for those slightly higher so that the money list has more effect in the last four. If you want the last 3 or 4 events to be like the culmination of the season, then you do that. I've got no issue. And you can also cut players out where it goes from 120 to 70 to 30. I don't mind that either. But I just
but you can't
think
call it a
that
playoff.
point. No, you can't. You can't.
No, you can't. So yeah, there's a lot of
And
things that
they say East Lake's not going to be used. I saw today there's someone says that East Lake's not going to be used next year for the final event. Is that correct?
I think
do
it'll
you
probably
believe that?
No, I think it'll be probably used next year. However, there's been sort of some weird stuff going on in behind the scenes with East Lake. Apparently, the previous commissioner, Tim Fincham, promised East Lake this event basically in perpetuity, which is like, I don't know how he got away with that. So, especially because so much has changed in the pro golf world. Like, that event used to be held in October in Atlanta, which is a way, way, way better time of year to have it. Now this moved up to August because they wanted to have the season completed for the most part prior to the NFL season, football season here in the US. And then also the PGA Championship moved out of that August slot and moved up to May. There's just so many moving parts that like everybody knows that the PGA Tour had to change this eventually. Like they had to go to other venues similar to what the BMW championship is doing. And I know that they will, because that's the thing that's always made the most sense. They're going to change this format. We all want match play. There's no surprise in that. And I think eventually we're going to land on that. I feel very, very confident. No, except some of the changes that they made are actually good. I think that splitting it up so that you have this regular season award, like Scotty Scheffler obviously won the season long points, so he got $10 million for that. Then you have this tour championship. There was $10 million for that. And very quietly, the sort of FedEx Cup, this huge, huge bonus at the end of the season, got significantly reduced. So FedEx is not having to pay nearly as much as they have in the past for this sort of huge season ending thing, where I think last year was like 20 million. I think it was $25 million bonus. So, they've changed stuff. It's going to continue to change for sure. Now that Brian Rolapp is there, I have way more confident that the adults are in the room and they're going to be able to figure this thing out. Except, like I said, until they do that and lift some of these bans, that is part of the reason why I'm not paying attention to the PGA Tour the way that I used to. I'm not going to be as interested. So, and we have another tour for us to sort of focus on. So that's where we're at.
Look, I think we did the right thing by discussing the PGA Tour. The one thing I am going to say that that's confused me a little bit is there still doesn't seem to be great clarity at the moment around what's happening with the cards that are disappearing, who's coming over from the DP World Tour. It was meant to be top 10. Who's coming out of the KFT with the
Still
golden
going to be
ticket
top
cards?
10. Yeah.
I'm not saying you're wrong, but they have said they're going from 125 to 100 tour spaces. So does that mean then that they're going to relegate 35 off the tour? Sorry, no, 40 off the tour, because you've got 5 people from the KFT and 10 from the DP World Tour. Because if you've got 125 and you're going to bring in 15 players, you've got to get down to 85. Does that mean they're going to get rid of 40 players?
It's going to be 100. That's the number of cards that they're going to keep for next year. And we got to be honest.
What I'm saying is, if it's going to be 100, though, how are you going to get in 10 from the DP World Tour and 5 from the Corn Ferry Tour?
It's including those. It's not.
Oh,
the 100
so it's
cards is
100
not
plus
including
those.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
so they're going to get rid of 25.
They're
getting rid of 25 off the tour, and they're bringing in 10 from the DP World Tour, 5 from the KFT. And I think they did used to bring in like another couple of invites from different Asian events. I know we had that guy who won the Japanese Open last year or something that he came across. So they got a couple of so okay, that makes a bit more sense, because this is the first year that the media haven't really spoken about people in the drop zone and losing their cards.
No,
because that used to be a big. It used to be a big thing, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. There doesn't seem to be as much clarity as before.
No, not at all. And this is something that Brian Rolapp, again, he addressed in detail, and he's only been on the job 3 weeks. Like, the 2 terms that he mentioned that I thought were really, really important. simplicity and scarcity, which is, to anyone following this, that's something that we've been talking about for a while. I've been talking about this for like 4 or 5 years, that like the PGA Tour, like you needed to be, you need to simplify this process. Like you need to be able to simplify, what does it actually mean to have a tour card? Because there's so many exemption categories. There's so many ways people and players get in to certain events. Like there's just like this like weird pecking order that like you've got to clarify that, because it's part of the reason why we like LIV so much, is because that process is simplified now that you have 3 zones that are very, very clear exactly what those zones mean. So that's something that the PGA Tour needed to focus on. I know that's going to be a focus moving into the future. Scarcity is the other thing. Like they had to reduce the number of events. Like that was very, very clear to me. They've already eliminated looks like 1 or 2 events from the schedule, from last year's schedule to next year's schedule. So they're going to start reducing that. They're going to start reducing the number of full cards. They're going to start reducing their footprint. And these are all things that are going to help them out in the long term in terms of building value, that we kind of talk about with the sort of franchise model, that they're going to have events that they're able to spin off, and they're going to be able to create new assets to sort of lift up their tour. That's the whole game. That's the whole thing they're planning on. And it's going to take them a while to execute it, except now they have the right person, the right leaders in charge to do it.
Good. Well, I look forward to seeing what's going to happen. We will talk a lot more about this, the politics and OWGR and other news. I know we're going to talk about your news you got on your hat in a second, but I think we're in for a very interesting few months. And I think what is really interesting is seeing just how many LIV players are actually entered into the DP World Tour over the next few months. I think it's really interesting. And
well, there's
I
9 or
expect
10 guys that have full cards that actually have membership. So yeah. So yeah, there's
and depending on what happens, their membership disappears on the 1st of January. So who knows what's going to happen? Are they getting those events in now? Get as many OWGR points they can, opportunities to play where they can before they're not allowed to play. Who knows what's going to happen? Right.
Yeah, it's a lot of moving parts. A lot of moving.
We what we're trying to avoid is a 7-hour podcast with 17 minutes in already, but it's been 17 minutes of housekeeping I think needed to be done. So the other breaking news, obviously Corrigan's talked about the about Keegan Bradley. I'm sure that's going to be confirmed while we're on this or recording our next one. But
officially announced tomorrow.
The opens and the Open and the Augusta. What was wrong with me? The Open.
That's why you got to call it the British Open. So why you got to call it the British Open? It's too confusing otherwise.
No,
but
I could say anyway. The Masters and the Open have announced a change in qualification criteria, which I think is interesting.
Oh, for sure. So long story short, they're basically creating new pathways into the Masters. There's sort of 2 changes that they're sort of doing now. They're removing this sort of PGA Tour winner loophole where they had a bunch of really lower tier events that weren't full FedEx Cup points. When you won those events, you automatically got an invite into the Masters. That's now being removed. So the only way on the PGA Tour that you get in by winning is if you win a full point event. So that scraps all the points from the fall.
So you couldn't. You used to have the winner of the Hot Dog Classic or whatever it was called. Used to. Look, don't get me wrong. Winning an event, any event on the PGA Tour, earning 1.5 million or 1 million or whatever it was prize money, it's amazing. It's an incredible lifetime achievement. 99.9999% of people couldn't even dream of teeing it up in an event like that, let alone winning one. But they were a step down from the rest of the tour. So 100%. Now what they've replaced it with is the winner of the Scottish, the winner of Hong Kong, the winner of Japan, the winner of South Africa, the winner of Australia, and one other slipped my mind.
Spanish Open.
Spanish Open. So that means as of now that Chris Gotterup is into the Open and into the Masters. The Spanish Open isn't till October. Tiger Sumikawa won the Japanese Open, so he's in for that. Hong Kong Open is back end of October, November weekend.
Patrick Reed won last year.
Yeah,
but it'll be current champion.
Australian Open is December.
Yep, it's a big event.
And and Daniel Naidu won the South African Open.
Except South Africa's going to be in end of February, early March, and I think they're going to
It's early March. So the South African Open, that was going to be my question. So Gottrup will be in.
Well, he was going to be anyway because he's
I know, but I'm saying, but Tiger Simikawa will be in because that event's in June, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's
the
later
Japanese
in the year.
Open's in June.
Yeah,
so
I think it's
so the June one.
Right?
So the one that has one that isn't in is Naidu. So there'll be a place from the South African Open, expect to see that heavily attended. And obviously you've got the place from the Spanish, the Australian, and Hong Kong. It's better. It's better. And full credit to Michael McEwen on from Bunkered. He's been banging this drum for 2 years. When I first met him, when we were walking around JCB, I'm not sure you remember 2 years ago when we were stood on 12th green chatting with AK when he was trying to hit that wedge down that audacious hill, and we're talking about the Opens. He's like, look, you've just got to link it to National Opens. You've just got to link it to National Opens. Have your other criteria, but link it to National Opens. And he's been banging that drum for 2.5, 3 years. I'm not saying you and I haven't, but
because I've been banging it for like 5 years. But yeah,
I mean,
it's a natural.
It seems to be a lot of the people with brains in the room are saying this is the way to go. This is the way to go.
If you were passionate about global golf and you understood all these other great tournaments that are out there, that, let's be honest, because of the PGA Tour and their schedule and all the things that they were doing, they were stripping those events of talent. Now that you're including these in like the most important events in golf and allowing additional pathways, and give the R&A credit, like they were last year, the Australian Open was part of the Open qualifying series. So the top three not already in the Open, they got in. It's how Mark Leishman got into the Open this year. So they've been doing this for a while, and this is something we have been talking about. Like, that's part of the reason why, to me, the Open, a British Open, has been elevating over the course of time, because I think that their qualifying series is great, because it elevates all these other events throughout the world that allows additional ways for these players to get in, whether you're on LIV or you're on the European Tour, you're on the PGA Tour, whatever. It gives you plenty of pathways to get in. And it's part of the reason why LIV had the most amount of players in at the Open than like any at Portrush than any other major. So those are the things. And I know LIV is already linked to 4 of these new qualifying events. Obviously, LIV is going to have a ton of players in the Spanish Open. They're going to have a ton of players in the Hong Kong Open. They did last year. They're going to have a ton in the Australian. They did last year. And they're going to have a handful in the South African Open, because I double-checked the schedule, and there's no LIV conflicts with the South African Open. There's no LIV conflicts with any of those 4 that I mentioned. So it sort of clears the path for those. Scottish Open obviously kind of has its flaws. However, we'll see what happens next year, but there's no conflicting LIV event next year with the Scottish. So there's an opportunity for LIV players to play in that as well, potentially. Given, again, there's so many moving parts. We don't know exactly what the European Tour is going to do after the Ryder Cup moving into next year, because there's all sorts of stuff that we've heard going on with that. So moving parts, except I think this is a great step in the right direction. I criticize Augusta National maybe more than anybody else, except I want to give them credit where credit is due. Obviously, I'm a critic of pro golf. I criticize everything. However, I want to give them their props here, because I think that this is a step in the right direction. Is that everything they need to do? No. I want to be clear on that. However, I want to give them kudos here that they're moving in the right direction.
Excellent. Right. Let's do the team championships. Now, do you think I need a little bit of praise for my prediction for the final? Come on, give it to me. Give me my flowers.
For the score?
The score and what would need to happen for Legion to win. Come on, give me my flowers.
Okay, fair. Well, no, because I never get any flowers for any of my predictions, even though I don't make that many. So
yeah, but that's why.
It's fine. It's fine. Well, no, I'll remind people.
I predicted that 20 under was going to be the winning score.
Mm-hmm.
And I also said that if Legion were to win, the 2 young lads would have to ball out. And they did. They were 20. The team was 20 under, and the 2 young lads between them were 12 under, which is superb.
I think there were 11. Surratt was 64, 6 under, and Tom was 65, 5
Sorry,
under.
65, 5 under. So they were 11 under. And to get 11 under from two 23-year-olds, or 22 and 23, two very young lads, and to be 11 under, that team is so strong.
I think Caleb's still 21. They have a combined age of 43. So Caleb's 21 and Tom McKibben's still 22, which is crazy because they are probably, if you look at the whole landscape of global professional golf, I mean, they've got to be two of the top 3 or 4 talents under the age of 23. I mean, it's really, really impressive what they're doing. And we can't underestimate the fact that, you know, under the tutelage of John Rahm and Terrell Hatton, like they have improved at this as the season has gone on. There's no question about it. They have improved since they've gotten on LIV Golf. And they would both say that. They both said that in the press conference after they won. So I want to shout out Legion. Congratulations to them for the win. Like it was, except the reason why I'm wearing my Crushers gear, because I'm so proud of the Crushers and just the fortitude that they showed to, you know, because they kind of had that lead at the end. It started getting really tight, and there was just so many clutch shots down the stretch, and I was rooting really hard for the Crushers, even though I love Legion too. Like they were two of my top, I mean, 4 or 5 teams at LIV. It was just a really, really great final. Like I just, like with the last 9 holes, I was absolutely glued. It was electric, that finish. The crowds were amazing. The golf was really high level. No, people were kind of criticizing that 18th hole at the Cardinal at St. John's, and like I really like that as a final hole because like it's kind of like St. Andrews in that like it's a gettable shorter par 4 that you could potentially drive and get close to. However, it takes like a really quality wedge shot for you to get close once you're under pressure. And to me, like that's one of the hardest shots in golf that we found out on the second playoff hole when both Bryson and Paul Casey didn't hit good good pitches going in there. It's a hard shot to do under pressure. So definitely want to give credit to Legion, give credit to the Crushers, and credit to Stinger for getting there to getting to the final. But yeah, it was just a absolutely box office finish. I really love that format. And the match play leading into it, you had so many great matchups. You had Phil against John Rahm. You had, you know, Brooks against DJ. Like, I mean,
It was just
Patrick Reed and Gooch was another one that was actually like a really good match. So yeah, there's just a lot of great matches. And shout out to Tom McKibben and Caleb Surratt, 2-0 in foursomes, alternate shot. Like that's what got them there too. So those two were playing really well the whole event. It's part of the reason why Legion won. It's basically the reason that Legion won, because you pretty much got exactly what you expected from Rahm and Hatton, like you always do.
Well, it's difficult to say it when I love them all so much and they've just come second. Can the Crushers win a team championship with a team that lacks a little bit of firepower outside of their leader? Legion 13, if they stay the same, if Hatton goes and sets up his own team, who knows? But Legion 13 with John Tyrrell and 2 young lads that hit the ball 7,000 yards. Like they do feel that there are going to be very few better alternate shot pairings than McKibben and Surratt and Chucky 3 Sticks and Anaban. Like you just got 3, you got 2, 3, you got 2 great pairs there. Casey's amazing.
It was actually Charles Howell and Paul Casey were they switched
up
this year.
That's what I meant.
They were elite too.
Anaban played in the second
singles
position. Yep. So you got 2 great pairings there in Casey and Chucky and McKibben and Surratt. But I watch it and part of me just says, does Crushers need so Crushers haven't got a 4th man, right? Crushers don't have a 4th.
No, they absolutely do. They absolutely have a 4th. No, we need to stop this
No, hang on. No, hang on. No,
Okay,
let me finish
okay,
my point if you jump in.
okay,
What I mean
okay.
is, like, you look at a lot of the teams go, Mito's the fourth in Torquay, McDowell's the fourth in Smash. You
Okay, I see
down a
what
lot of teams, you get, there's a lot of obvious fourths. What I'm trying to say is that Crushers are just, it's like they've got a first in Bryson and then three guys at like 2.75 or at 3. Like, I mean, they haven't got like a weak link. They don't have a
No,
weak
it's true. That is
do Crushers need to go and get, and who would you drop? It's such a weird conversation. Do they need to go and get a second to compete properly?
No. The only because we can't discount the fact that Crushers won 3 events this year. Like
Well,
there's only
three back. They did the 3-peat.
yeah, they won 3 in a row. They won three in a row, and that corresponded with Bryson elevating. Like honestly, we have to be clear. Like we got high level Bryson really for a quarter of the season, a third of the season, maybe, and they were still the second best team.
Yeah.
Because as quiet as it's kept, Bryson's year this year wasn't as good as last year. There were a few things because he kept tweaking the ball, his clubs, his irons, his wedges, all his stuff. And it's very hard to maintain consistency throughout the year if you're doing that. And I think that's honestly part of the reason. And that manifested itself in the playoffs. Second playoff hole, he had a fairly short 50, 60 yard pitch shot. He left it short, and that was basically the difference. Like, I mean, it was really, really exposed at that point. So there's these little fine margins that, like, if Bryson was just a little bit better throughout the year, and at the end of the season, like Crushers probably still win the championship. So we can split hairs on this all till the cows come home. However, I think Crushers need to run it back, in the words of Bryson, because they still have a great team, solid team. They have no weakness, which is part of the reason why they're always.
That's what I was saying. They don't have a fourth man. They don't have an obvious fourth player. You look at virtually every team, apart from Legion, most teams have an obvious fourth player. A player who's just not up to it at the moment. And like Fireballs, they don't really have a fourth man, but they tend to be a bit more roller coastery. Some days it's Ballesta, some days it's Sergio, some days it's Abe, some days it's Puge. They're all amazing, they're all great, but they have like an up and down. But I thought what was really interesting, and I want to talk about a couple of results the Legion had. If it wasn't for an audacious putt on the 18th by Tyrrell against Richard Bland, that game could have been lost. And Maronk against Rahm. Like, I know he's not going to be in the Ryder Cup team, but I'd be much happier with my Ryder Cup team if I had Adrian Maronk in it. I really would. I really would.
I've been beating this drum that like the way that we pick for the Ryder Cup team is totally wrong, because being a great match play player is different than being a great stroke play player. And we're solely picking these teams based off, for the most part, picking them off of their stroke play results. Like, I think the teams would be way better if they had something going on throughout the season where they had all these matches where, like, you can match up players. You can match up Rahm against Maronk, or Hatton against Maronk. Like, really see who is the elite of the elite when it comes to playing match play. Like, people were like trying to clown me on social media for saying Cameron Tringali, like, the U.S. team needs to take a look at him for the Ryder Cup team. But like, he's 7-0 in match play on LIV Golf the last 4 years. Like, these results shouldn't be ignored. And it's not like he's beating some clowns. Like, he's beating guys like Abe Answer, who's a very good match play player. He beat Terrell Hatton. Like, I mean, he's beaten Sebastian Munoz. Like, he's beaten very, very good players. Like, and guys that have winning records in the Ryder Cup, winning records in the President's Cup. Like, this is not something that should just be ignored.
Overlooked.
And like, yeah, he hasn't won like a full PGA Tour LIV event, but like, again, it's match play. Like, it's a completely different skill set that I feel like we really need to take a look at that going forward. And there needs to be more match play in professional golf to figure out who's actually good at it.
Well, we will talk about it, not in this show or the next, but a couple of shows' time. I've been very passionate that I would like to see LIV be 8 singles events and 4 or 5 teams events leading into a culmination of a season playoff, whatever it might be. We'll talk about it later time, but I would like to see the singles and the teams be pulled apart. You still have a bit of element for the singles with the teams coming in, but I'd like to see 4 or 5 proper match play events because it's
100%.
such good viewing.
Yes.
It's so good. It's
like
so good.
How good would it have been to have Paul Casey and Charles Howell against the veterans, against the young kids, Tom McKibben and Caleb Surratt? Like, that would have been a box office matchup too. So LIV needs to figure out a way to add. We're not saying do it all at once. You can add maybe one match play event next year, whether that's at the beginning of the season or mid-season, whatever it is. Like, these are the things that
there's actually a very natural fit because they've actually got 2 mid-season breaks. Do the first mid-season break, the last event's a team event. The second mid-season break, that's a team event, and then you've got obviously the end of season. So you can actually do it very easily, get 3 in very, very easily.
And you have these team events, Ryder Cup, President's Cup, end of the year in the fall. This is a training ground where you can say, hey, if you want to bring in some PGA Tour players, European Tour players, whatever it is, and bring them in to see what they actually have in match play on a course that might be similar to what they are playing in whatever the team competition is. Like, I think that would be box office, and it prepares these players a little bit better because, like, I feel like Rahm and Hatton and Bryson are much better prepared now than they would have been playing 72 hole or 54 hole events going into this. Like, now they're in that like match play mode where, like, I think they're going to have great records in the Ryder Cup for sure. So, and I want to see the captains take this event into account with their picks because they're not really doing it this year. In the future, I think that's a very important thing that they need to figure out.
I'm going to say a little bit. I loved that course, Jay. As you know, we'll talk about it later. Oh, I loved it.
It's the best of the 3 in the Midwest. However, I have low expectations of golf in the Midwest, as everybody knows.
I know you do, but I thought it was in immaculate condition. I thought it was
in great condition.
Would I want to see it for a regular LIV season event? No, I don't. And the reason is I think it can be a bit of a birdie fest. And having looked at the scores each individual got, that's why I put -20 as the team score. And when I put that, people were like, "Oh, it'll be -12, -13." I'm like, are you guys watching this? Like, it's a gettable course. And I don't like birdie fest week in, week out. We've discussed that before. I don't mind a birdie fest every now and again. And for the singles championship, like the course 2 weeks ago, got no issue with a bit of a birdie fest there. Not that it's a course I liked. I didn't like the Vista. We discussed that. But I don't mind every now and again. But what I'm saying is I thought that course was really good. It's perfect for the team championship. I don't know if it's going to go there next year. I don't know what the plan is for that.
Sounds like it will.
I really, really liked it. I thought it was a really good, well-maintained course and a perfect match play course. And bizarrely, that 18th is a great match play hole, as you said.
Yep.
You've got that forced carry over the bunker. We've got to put it down the left. You can rip one and it curves a little bit. Like, it's just a fantastic course. And I felt it looked one of the best on TV of all the 14 courses this year. I actually thought it had one of the best looks all year of all the courses outside of, weirdly, I don't know what JCB looks like on TV because I just watch, we watch it. Everyone says JCB looks really good, but you and I have no knowledge what JCB looks like on TV.
Just in highlights.
Yeah.
I got a question for you. Of all the courses LIV plays outside of Michigan, because we talked about it, there's one other course that you would pick for match play specifically. What course would that be? Because I have one in mind that I think is like, I would want to see a match play event on this course. And that to me is Hong Kong Golf Club.
Hang on, that we played.
Mm-hmm.
Not Riyadh, not Adelaide. Hong Kong, yes. Not Singapore, not Miami. Well, it won't be next year. But not Mexico City.
No, I think Chapultepec. The two that stands out to me are Chapultepec, which is Mexico City, and Hong Kong.
Valderrama for match play would just be rancid. I'd love it.
Well, yeah, they did have the Ryder Cup there too, but it's kind of again, to me, I think you want to have a course that's like a little bit easy. I don't want to say easier, but like I think that makes for more compelling match play when you can make a lot of birdies. And there's not a lot of birdies to be had at Valderrama.
What was the course Schauffele won the PGA at that you don't like? Bryson came second.
Oh, in Kentucky, yeah, Valhalla.
Now that for me is a superb.
That's a good match play
course.
course. I can see that.
Great.
Well, they had the Ryder Cup there. They had the Ryder Cup there.
Yeah. But
2008.
I mean, there's certain courses going on my brain. That would be a great Ryder Cup course. JCB wouldn't be a great match play course. It really wouldn't. Bolingbroke, no, we need to leave Bolingbroke. I'm not a fan of it. Chatham Hills, loved it.
We might
in
be.
the sense
we might be leaving there next
Chatham
year.
Hills in the event it gave us, I really liked. Do I like the course? No.
Left a little bit.
Valderrama, yeah. Marido, I didn't mind it. I didn't love it. Robert Trent Jones, I really like that. I really like
President's Cup, Solheim Cup. Again, it's a great
really
match
loved it.
course.
Korea. Now, I've said before, the Korea event is probably the only event I watched bits of it, but due to what was going on and a little bit with stuff I was doing and being away on holiday,
and the time
I probably only watched 3 hours of that over the 3 days. So I don't feel I could comment on the Korea. I don't feel I got a good enough handle of it. So I was trying to get and tune in towards the last hour and a half because of where I was and what I was doing. I was watching the last hour and a half, which means they're showing you maybe even hour, showing you the groups that are at the front. And obviously I'm watching 15, 16, 17, 18, 15, 16, 17, 18. So I don't feel I had a fat handler. Chapultepec, not a massive Doral, not a match play course in my opinion. Sentosa, no. Hong Kong, yes. Grange, I said no immediately, but Grange could be a great match play course actually.
It could be,
the
but
Grange
I
actually could be.
Except I like Adelaide as it is. Like I don't think you need to tweak that at all. It's really turning into one of the LIV majors. So, but yeah, Hong Kong Golf Club is the one that I would want to see a match play event at for sure.
And you know my opinion on it. You know my opinion on it. I know why they've gone to Riyadh Golf Club, but Royal Greens would be a phenomenal. I know they're not there. The Royal Greens would be a phenomenal match play course. And interestingly, did you see that Royal Greens is now getting the Saudi Invitational back
for next year?
Yeah, so the Saudi Invitational went to Riyadh along with LIV, but now Royal Greens has got the Saudi Invitational back, which I think I'm not biased.
Except this year, 2025, they're going back to Riyadh though.
Yeah.
2020, yeah. So 2026. Saudi, okay, yeah.
That would be a fantastic match play course. And the reason it's a great match play course is there's ravines and water everywhere, and everything's gettable, but you've also got. And we saw you got that wind at Royal Greens that plays up, and you got a couple of holes where you miss by 3 foot, you're off by 40 yards. I quite like the peril of that. But I was going to ask you a question about match play. Would you think the match play event is better? And I know it's hard to do, and I know it make the event longer, but I would love the first event. To be 4 singles. I know pairs belongs in match play. I get that. But I would just love that first round, that quarter final before the semis. And there's part of me just love to see that be a I know it's difficult to get ignore the practicalities of getting on the course. But I would just love to see all of them doing it.
It's not only that, it's the fact that then you all of a sudden you have 4 points to win and you could easily wind up in a tie. Then you're gonna have a million playoffs. So like I just don't see that. Like it needs to be an odd number. You could talk me into maybe having 5-player teams at that point at some point in the future for that particular event, maybe. Except it's gotta be because college golf kind of does it too, just with the 5, and you always have a odd number. 4 singles. I don't think that works for a variety of reasons. We need more match play. And like I've also been suggesting at the beginning of the season, now that we don't have the WGC match play, like I would love it if you throw all 54 players or maybe 60, you throw them in a bracket. And like, I want to see some of these players on team. Like I want to see Rahm and Terrell Hatton play a match play against each other in match play. I think that would be completely box office. Like I want to see some of these other guys on teams have to play each other. I think that would be great. So, and again, that doesn't necessarily count towards the standings, and it should be either a midseason or like a preseason thing. But you know, the whole thing is we need more match play. It's so clear. It's so clear to like any hardcore golf fan that we do because you get all these compelling matchups that you wouldn't normally get in 72 or 54 hole stroke play events. Um, and like the fact that we haven't had it for this long, and the fact that we had it for a while with the WGC and it's gone away, is a complete travesty. The fact that we used to have it at Wentworth back in the day, and that went away mostly because of the PGA Tour. Again, that's a travesty too. So I think we need to have a return to it. We need to figure that out. I wrote about this like 2.5 years ago, the way that they could potentially do it. You could do it on a variety of different courses because a lot of courses, people are scared about what the scoring is going to be and all that stuff. It's like, it's part of the reason why they're having the Walker Cup here at Cypress Point, because Cypress Point's never going to have a 54 hole or 72 hole tournament again because a lot of people think that it's too easy. And they don't want guys shooting 59, 60, 61 on a course. So just do a match play. And Cypress Point is going to show amazing on TV. So, and we could do this at a variety of different places. But yeah, so more match play, more match play, more match play.
A random one. I was really, really happy for Mito to see him play really well in the match play. I know he's had a tough season. Things haven't gone his way. This, that, and the other. But he won. He lost his singles in the quarters to Ben Campbell, but they won overall. But when it got to the semis, he actually he took the win against Brendan Grace 4-2,
Yeah,
which
beat him convincingly,
which was beat him convincingly. And I remember looking. I was going to double check with a couple of holes to go. Yeah, so he was the low score of the day in the Torquay team on the final day with 67. So look, great to see Mito finish that. And look, there's we'll talk about it later when we do the next show, but there are people I would like to see go to the qualification event. I'm hoping there's going to be 3 places and win their way back in. I'd like to see Mito win his way back in. I think the kid can play. I think it's great for their atmosphere, great for their team, chance to play himself back in. And we'll talk about Stenson and a few others later. Lastly, on the team championships, where was my brain? Did you see the different groupings from the other partners? So Range Goats finished 10th, beating Majestics and Cliques. Cliques were +1 as a group, which wasn't great. Freddie was 2 over.
Yeah, he was the worst of all the players. So yeah.
And then the four aces shot 17 under, with a phenomenal low round of the week from Thomas Peters of a 63. Like, I know it doesn't get seen because he wasn't in that.
I know
they had about half an hour of total footage went to all of the other matches combined. But Thomas Peters with a 63 round there is absolutely superb. And
absolutely.
then
Thomas Peters, and we can't forget just a really quick 4 aces corner. DJ, Patrick Reed both shot 65 the last day too. So 17 under between Thomas Peters shooting 7 under, those two shooting 10 under. Obviously, Harold Varner only shot even par. Except I'm expected to see changes to the 4 aces potentially. TBD, we shall see. I know they're negotiating. There's one player out there currently on the PGA Tour.
I so want to say it, but I'm not going to.
Let's just say this player has he's always had a great relationship with DJ and Brooks in particular.
Yeah, current player on the PGA Tour, American, played really good golf for a good number of years. Maybe he's had some injury issues the last few years.
All right, you're saying too much already, but I think that there is there's an opportunity for him. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to work out the finances. Unfortunately, we shall see with that. I know it's still sort of still being worked out, and I don't expect any of this stuff to be sorted out until the end of the year, beginning of January, only because we've got a lot of variance.
I think because
we have guys trying to play their way back too. So
Yeah, but that playing the guys playing their way back is one thing. Look, that's not this podcast. That's the next podcast. So if you want to hear what we're thinking about that. Now, lastly, also, Brooks gets a lot of criticism. Like, I think he overreacted to the Bryson thing, or maybe that was pantomime. I don't know. But Brooks shot 65 on the final day.
He's been playing better.
If you are in that camp that thinks Brooks doesn't care, please give your head a wobble.
Yeah,
he cares. But the Brooks Bryson thing was so weird. He's a cat. He dances, marches to his own tune. Weird cat dances to his own tune. I get it, but also Bryson was trying to do the right thing by saying, "I want to play against their better player," and he didn't maybe phrase it the best way possible, which is ironic because the next day when he had a chance to think about it, and Rachel said to him, obviously a lot of people and he said, well, yeah, I picked Taylor because at the moment Taylor's the form player and I'm our best player and I want to play against their best player. I find it odd and almost a little bit charming and endearing that Bryson felt he couldn't say that on stage in front of Brooks. But what ended up coming out was worse. It's so funny. It's so funny. Bryson's such a nice kid. He doesn't want that. He doesn't want that to be out there. And then
we might have to go back.
The way it was dealt with was so much better when he dealt with it with Rachel and said that. Like if he just said that, look, I know the fans want Brooks and I to play, but at the moment, as amazing a player as Brooks is, Taylor's their form player, and I want to play their form player. If he had just said that, no one can argue with it. No one would have made anything of it. But then the media love to run with it. Everyone loves to run with it. I'm like, have a day off.
I love it when we have this little friction between these guys. I think it's great. That being said, we might have to go back and revert to what they used to do, forcing the captains to play each other, because we missed out on a lot of potentially great matchups, whether it be Brooks against Bryson, Sergio against Phil.
No, I don't like it.
I mean, look, I just think that there's so many great matchups that we missed out on this year. So, I mean.
No, I don't like it. And the reason I don't like it is you're taking the advantage away from the captains of the highest seeding who've got the ability to pick. They've earned the ability to pick. They should have the ability to pick. If they don't have the ability to pick, because you're also doing captain versus captain, you know your pairs lineup is. So obviously your second singles is solidified. You take away that advantage.
Not necessarily, because Crushers last year, they had Casey in the singles and then they switched it out. So, you know.
Yeah, but they don't. I like them having this. You've earned your right to have your pick. Right. We've done the team event. I'm just going to say, players dropping off, leaving the league. Some weaknesses in the players. High flyers and cliques got some stuff to sort out. High flyers and cliques got some stuff.
Ironhead.
So I didn't mean high flyers. Sorry, I didn't mean high flyers.
No, high flyers too. They're losing a player.
I know, but they still managed to finish in 5th place. Ironheads have got some serious stuff to sort out. So the cliques. Majestics will be left to see what happens. Obviously, Stenson's going. Who do they bring in? There's a lot of stuff to discuss. And we will discuss that, folks, next week in next week's podcast, which will probably come out in a few days after this, not a full week. And Jay and I are going to record it now. I'm going to put a different top on so it looks like it's a brand new day. Jay might even change his hat. But we will be back recording in around about 2 minutes. I need to go for a wee. And then I'll be ready to re-record. Oh, hang on. Before we go, how many people commented on that BBC joke in our last video? I can't believe that got more comments than anything else that we're literally talking about TV, and that got more comments in YouTube than anything else.
People love comedy. People love us clowning around. Like, I get it, but
people love
that was one that was just totally organic. Totally organic. So anyway. But yeah.
All right, folks. See you later. Hope you enjoyed the show. I love the event. Teams Championship is truly amazing. We want more match play, Jay, and I hope that LIV make it happen.
100%.
Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.